If you would like to purchase a pre-printed fabric panel, please go to spoonflower.com and type Kathy Schmitz in the search bar without any spaces. You can also hold your phone's camera over the QR code and a small yellow tab will pop up. Click on the tab and it will take you to my Spoonflower shop. Please order a fat quarter on Petal Signature Cotton. Thanks! Happy May! May Day. I remember when I was a kid, we'd make these little paper cones and fill them with little flowers, and then you leave them on your neighbor's doorstep and make their day. That was always fun. I don't know if kids still do that or not, but I like the idea of that, sharing a gift of flowers. So this month we're doing this little teacup that's filled with flowers. So it's kind of like my little May basket, only in a teacup form. So I'm going to start by showing you this little bee because he is little. So I'm just going to do 2 stitches, little satin stitches side by side for the head, and then jump down and do 2 or 3 for the body. Oh, maybe 3. I'll add 1 more there. Okay. And then I'm going to add a couple for the last stripe down by his bum. You don't want to pull these tight because it will scrunch the fabric together and you want it to lay nice and flat. Okay, now this is my tricky part for making a bee. I come up about halfway through his middle stripe and I'm going to do a fly stitch. So my thread is going to curve up and around. I'm going to go down on the other side of that middle stripe, up at his head, kind of at the end of one of those antennae. And the thread's going to go under the needle, pull it towards his head, and then instead of tacking it right on the other side, I'm going to tack it at the end of that antenna. And that will form one of them. I don't know if it's antennae, I don't know what the plural is. And then I'm just going to repeat that for the other one. Now I'm going to start at the middle of that stripe again, only this time I'm going to go down to the bottom. And again, I'm going to have the thread under my needle, pull it towards the bottom, and go out just a little bit for his stinger. And then I'm going to pop up over here to one of his wings. So this little guy is made out of fly stitches. So it's a bee made out of fly stitches. So there's one wing. Now that time I did put it down, the needle down right on the other side of that loop because we don't need anything to stick out. And this is my little tail, so I didn't have to tie a knot. So when I'm done, I'll pull it through to the other side and I'll thread it. And the reason why I keep the tail when I start that way without making a knot, the reason why I keep it on the top is so that it doesn't get tangled up in my stitches underneath and become a big knot and blob down there. So that is how you make a little tiny bee. And I think that's probably about as small as I've made them. This guy's fat. He's been busy making honey. And I do love some honey, especially in tea. Oh my goodness, it's so good. So, okay, last stitch. So the needle goes up on one side of the wing, down on the other side of the wing, up at the tip of the wing. The thread goes under the needle, pull it away from the bee, and then tack that in place. And that's a little bee. Isn't it sweet? Since my thread is right there, I'm going to just jump up here and do this little lazy daisy. So these little loops are tiny lazy daisies. So we bring our needle up right at the base of the little teardrop, put it down in the same hole, and then come up at the tip of the loop. The thread's going to go under the needle, pull it away, and tack it down on the other side. And that is a lazy daisy. We'll do another one down here just to show you. Up in the same hole, or in the little point, down in the same hole, up at the tip of the loop, thread the thread under the needle, pull it away, and then tack it right on the other side. And that's how you do these little tiny lazy daisies. I have some light coming through a window right there. Okay, I'll finish that up and then I'll move on to show you some of these other stitches. Now, if you'll notice at the bottom of this saucer, there's 2 lines. So the first line is the base of the saucer, and I'm carrying my thread on the outside because this is curved that way. So I always carry my thread on the outside of the curve. The reason why there's 2 lines there is because you're going to go back and do another row of stem stitching right along the bottom to really give the base of that saucer a nice footing. Got a little knot. Sometimes, if your thread does that, you can just take your thumbnail and finger and straighten it out. Just teach it better manners. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go back down here where that line is. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's that little line right along the bottom. So basically this row of stem stitching is going to be touching the previous row. And I'm going to carry my thread towards this because I want those 2 rows to lean together. I want it to be kind of a solid area rather than have like just stripes. There. So now you can see it just gave the base of that saucer just a little more heft. Okay, so when stitching the flowers, it's going to be just like the flowers from last month. So we're going to do little lazy daisies, and we're going to do these little fan stitch leaves, or you can also call them ray stitch. So as in the last month, you don't want to go all the way to the bottom to start, a little bit higher, just so that there aren't quite as many stitches going into that bottom hole. So the first stitch goes right down the center. Now this stitch will go all the way to the other end of the leaf, back up on the other side of that first stitch. And remember you can always use your needle, use your thumb to place your thread where you want it. And back up on this side. And these are really small leaves, so they're only going to take maybe three stitches on each side of that center stitch. Let's see, that one was over there. We'll lean it that way, and then one more here. So you start at the point of the teardrop shape, and we're going to carry a thread up and around, go back in that same hole, and then up at the very tip of the loop, thread under the needle and pull away. Tack it right on the other side of that loop. And now we'll come up and do one of the side ones. So this is what I'd recommend, is doing the middle one first and then the 2 outside ones, or do the 2 outside ones and then do the middle one. rather than start at the left and work your way to the right. Because I think either the outside two should be on top, like you can tell on this one, maybe. These outside two are on top of this first one, or the middle one, because that's the one I did first. And then on this one, if you look, the middle one's on top. So I did the side ones first. Or you can get it lined up just right, and so none of them overlap each other. So as you can see, it's pretty easy going. Do whichever one works for you. There we go. So that is the fan stitch and the little lazy daisy stitches. So now all I need to do is the stem stitches around the cup. And remember, since this is a curve, you're going to want to carry your thread on the outside of the curve. So I'm going to go ahead and finish stitching this up. So I finished the handle and the rest of the cup, and that is the end of the May stitchery. So I hope you have fun stitching this one up, and I know that bee can be a little challenging, but I'm sure you can do it. And I hope you have a wonderful May. I hope there's some sunshine out there for you this month, and I will see you next month. Bye.